The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The Book is Dave Sherapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are The Bostonian versus The Book.
You covered! You covered 12! I covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus The Book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sherapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Fight Song Friday, Bostonian versus The Book, as we are live from Circa for the Ultimate Football Contest weekend. Matt Perrault, he's Eric Garcia, and we are with you for the next hour on Sports Grid Television and Sirius XM channel 159. If you're watching our YouTube channel at Boston versus The Book and Twitter X, you're going to get almost a 2-hour show out of us coming up today. We are loaded again for guests. Yesterday was tremendous. We had Derek Stevens and Mike Palm, and wouldn't you know it, as we start here on a Fight Song Friday, week 0 tomorrow, the one and only Jeffrey Benson starts the show. I couldn't think of a better way to start the show than with you. How are you? Great to see you. This is pretty cool.
It is. Obviously, Radio Row has grown over the years. We probably got somewhere between 30 and 35 outlets behind us, and just pumping out content and contest stuff. We've got a fantastic contest weekend coming up. Last night we had the Champions Dinner. We had probably 40 to 50 people at Andiamo. So for any listeners who subscribe to be there, win 6 figures in the contest or more, and you can join Mike Palm, Derek, and myself for the Champions Dinner. Great event at Bar Canada. Obviously, today we got the Stadium Swim event from 10 to 4.
Right.
We got the Blackjack Shootout from 6 to 8 if you have 3 entries or more in the contest. That's up at the High Limit Room just to the left of 8. And then Legacy Club Mixer 8 to 10. And then we've got the Circa Football Preview tomorrow up here in Galaxy from 2 to 4, hosted by Mr. Palm. And we've got, I believe, 4 other panelists on there. So a banger ultimate contest weekend here, August 21st to the 23rd at Circa Las Vegas. A lot going on. I've been in the book doing signups all day, all yesterday. I think we did close to about 700 yesterday. So, wow. I mean, and we're still, effectively 2 weeks out. So it just really never ends. I mean, they just keep coming.
Yeah. So entry, the latest numbers, we are at 8,414 entries for Survivor and 2,675 entries for Millions. We talked a lot yesterday about the $100,000 entry being with 19 of them already. Derek was very surprised. Are you surprised that you guys are sitting here on the 22nd of August and you're already over the overlay?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, $100,000 buy-in. We guaranteed $1.5 million. We're currently at 20 entries. We had one yesterday, so that 19 numbers bumped up one. I mean, I'd imagine we'll end somewhere between 30 and 40 entries in Grandissimo. I mean, we would have been happy if we didn't have an overlay. So, to see 2.5, 3 times that has been pretty cool. And obviously it's so different than Circa Survivor, just because obviously the prize pool is different, the amount of entries are different, the amount of contestants are different. I was talking with somebody yesterday. I mean, the game theory behind it, are you going to save teams for Christmas? Are you going to save teams for Thanksgiving?
Right.
Do you think it even gets that far? I mean, obviously if you have 30, 40 entries, kind of mapping out, what that's going to look like with maybe a 60 to 65% win rate. And, does that get you to week 8, week 9, week 10? How aggressive are people going to play? Obviously, the strategy is so much different from Circa Survivor. So it'll be really fun, when we do the VSiN shows and the contest reveals to kind of talk through the Grandissimo, just because, like I said, it'll play so different than Circa Survivor.
So I think the interesting idea with that, obviously, is that if somebody does come in and has 1 or 2 entries in the 100,000 and then 10, 20, 30 entries potentially in Survivor, when does the $100,000 one end? Derek thought October it could be over.
I would say that, thinking about it for all of 6 seconds, maybe 9.5, so a good over under in terms of number of weeks it goes. I think that's a fair starting point. Obviously, if you get closer to the 40 or 50 entries, maybe it goes a little bit further. But I would be very surprised if it made it Thanksgiving or Christmas or even year-end. Obviously, when you think about Circa Survivor and the amount of entries we have, it's definitely going to go 20 weeks. But yeah, I don't necessarily see that happening in Grandissimo.
Do you foresee any changes to the rules in the future with Survivor? Obviously, there's 10 entries per person that can come on up. Do you see, you guys have already done 20 weeks with the Christmas and Thanksgiving, Black Friday weeks, making it different there. Do you anticipate anything trying to make it end before you get to 20 weeks?
I would say in the future, when we have the ability to have our own software and customize things the way we would want, there would definitely be the ability to think about maybe having, towards the later end of the season, maybe you got to pick a couple of selections, 2 selections in a week. Maybe that's not necessarily. Wow. Maybe that's not necessarily done at the end of the season. Maybe that's done at some arbitrary point in the middle of the season. Obviously, we've talked about, whether the entries could go from 10 to 15, 10 to 20, things like that. It gives me some pause because you have people who only have 1 entry who are like, oh my God, how could I ever compete with somebody who has 20 entries? But, when you look back at the winners, there's a lot of people that aren't professionals that win. There are a lot of people that have 1 entry or, they have a couple of entries. It's like these people that, have 10 entries, it's like they don't always win. And, if people want, I mean, like I said, I think Gil on Benson made a great point. I think there's the more entries people have, the more if they don't know what they're doing, they play them suboptimally because they, try to play so many teams or they try to play safe and conservative and things like that. So there is an optimization point where, if people have a certain amount of entries and that grows or increases, how well they play them, I think maybe is on a downtrend. But and I think what Derek, Mike, and myself are really hoping for is 18 weeks of the regular season, meaning teams have to play 18 games.
Okay.
Then teams would have 2 buys. There'd obviously be less preseason games.
Okay.
And then obviously you would add Thanksgiving and Christmas onto that, and that gets you to 22 selections. So I think that would particularly help. I mean, obviously when you think about last year, 8 people split 14.266 million. They each got like 1.78 roughly. I think as long as people are earning over 7 figures, that's a certain win. But you could have a year where you have a team go 0-17, or you have a team go 1-16 and things like that. When you think about 2 or 3 years ago, you had some really, really bad teams. And even just in years past, people were like, oh, Carolina's going to be so bad. That didn't necessarily materialize, things like that. So when you do have some of these historically bad teams, it does make it easy to fade them.
Yeah.
And you ultimately want to get to the end of the contest. You don't want to have 50 people and things like that. So it was certainly nice that the NFL leaned into playing on Christmas. Kind of encroached on the NBA's territory, which gave us another leg and made the contest that much more challenging.
When you guys are sitting down and you're laying down the entire football season, is there 1 or 2 teams that you think, I mean, could the Saints be that team that everyone just bets against all year? Is there a team that you think that could be like, my gosh, if they're going to be this bad, everyone's going to be on this team for the whole year?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the quarterback room for the Saints, you look at the quararterback room for the Browns, you look at some of these, incentives and things like I mean, there definitely could be some particularly bad teams. And I think, what's so hard about Circa Survivor is, and the Million contest as well, is you don't necessarily know what you're getting from these teams in the first month of the season.
Yeah.
Obviously, you watch preseason, but some teams don't necessarily play their starters and things like that. There's injuries. You can only glean so much from training camp and coach speak and interviews and things like that. Once you get real games under your belt and you get real data and things like that, I think you really start to see, who the good teams are, who the average teams are, and who the bad teams are, and where the tiers are, and the who's in the upper echelon, who's in the bottom echelon, and that's what's so hard about Survivor. People last year thought the Bengals were world beaters, and they actually ended up being world beaters, but not in a good way. So I think you really don't know what you're going to get out of a lot of these teams early in the season, and you may pick a 4-point favorite, thinking that they're a walk in the park, or a 5-point favorite, or a 6-point favorite, and if they were to play the game the next week, they'd be a dog, based on what happened week 1, week 2, et cetera. So I think you just learn a lot in the first few weeks, and that's what makes it so hard. Obviously, that's what we saw last year with so many people being eliminated, and it'll be interesting to see if that same trend plays out this year.
Can you talk a little bit about that too, like sitting behind the book, and Sunday comes around and Survivor liabilities on massive on one team? Like, do you guys end up sweating just as much as the players do?
No, I mean, because there's no money in it in terms of Derek's really sweating the liability in terms of the bets we're taking actual dollar-wise over the counter. When you take 100 or 2,000 a pop on these spreads and things like that, that stuff can stack up much quicker. I mean, obviously, we're following Survivor. We want people to have the best experience. You really want to root for people. You don't want to have to roll out an empathy package in week 2.
Like last year?
Yeah, like last year. So, we've had to do that multiple times. But, I think we really start to sweat it for the people when you get to week 14, 15, 16, stuff like that. They're sitting there next to Derek. You got people filming for the documentary and stuff like that. And I think that's when it really becomes real, or week 17, 18, the last couple of weeks of the season, when we're rooting for people at that point, to your question, because these guys come in and they'll put 100 or 200,000 on a dog that's 3-1. And if the dog loses, obviously they're out of the contest, but we're out of 600,000. So, and when you have 2, 3, 4 Survivor people do that, the liabilities can stack up pretty quickly. So I think our sweat is really at the end of the contest with hedging and just rooting for people to get to the finish line. Given how far how long it's taken them to come this far.
Along those lines, as a bookmaker, when you're watching the entries come in on either Survivor or Circa Million, how much does that help you for Sunday to kind of know where the public is going to be going? Because the entries go in Saturday. Does that help you guys have any lean as to what may happen on Sunday?
No, not really. I think they're two totally separate things. I mean, obviously, when you go into every week of Survivor, whoever the 3 or 4 big favorites are, that's probably going to be what the consensus is. When you think about the million, maybe the top couple of things are going to be the big plays, the standalone primetime games. Obviously, the games that maybe have injuries or information that causes the line to move. But we totally separate what's going on in the context as to what's going on in terms of what we think our needs are going to be. I think those are two things that aren't necessarily synonymous.
We're going into week 0 tomorrow. We've got Iowa State and Kansas State playing. It's obviously early. It's on the second time since 2000 ranked teams played this early. You guys see an action? Are people interested? Or is it just we're going to wait for the NFL to really unload a week for week 1 with Ohio State and Texas before you guys get really busy?
I would say the latter, but I'd also say that I'm embarrassed to say that I have no idea who's playing tomorrow. I have no idea when they're playing. I know nothing about it.
Early. Iowa State, Kansas State is early.
I think there's 4 games tomorrow. So listeners are in good shape because I know that. But it is full contest sign-up mode for me. That's the mode I'll be in for the next 2 weeks. And I always tell people, when most of these sports books get hard once the NFL starts, but for us, it's a little breather given how much we have to do over this month leading up to the start of the season with contests.
So what? No action at Idaho State UNLV. We're not seeing big bets yet.
So I was just down on the count. I was just down at the counter, and I had somebody ask when we will have that line up. We don't even have the lineup because it would be classified as an extra game.
Yes.
So extra games for us go up Friday afternoon.
Okay.
That's when you'll find any FBS versus FCS team or
added games.
Yeah, that's effectively the added games that you would see in college basketball. So extra games will go up Friday afternoon. We don't do FCS versus FCS, but UNLV will be up this afternoon, and people can make their bets on that at that time.
What do you anticipate from a handle perspective for State Texas NFL level?
When are they playing again?
Next week on the 30th of August.
Is that a standalone game on Sunday?
Not standalone, no. It plays on Saturday like everybody else does, but it's the biggest game. It's the first time we've seen one on the road as a dog in the history of the AP fall preseason.
NFL's king. I would say it would be akin to a good Sunday night football game.
Okay. So a standalone NFL game?
Yeah, a standalone primetime NFL game that is, not between the Titans and the Jaguars.
Speaking of the Titans, are you looking at? Is there a team that has your eye as being the Saints aren't going to be the worst? Like, where are you going into the season on teams you're high on teams you're low on? Are the Titans on a list of teams you think are going to have a better than expected team, or are they kind of down with Cam Ward? We're going to see them play tonight in preseason.
I mean, if Cam Ward's, has, he's half as good as Jaden Daniels or something like that,
Right.
I think, maybe they're able to surprise. The Giants could be bad.
I think so too. That's my yes.
The Colts could be bad. The Browns could be bad. I think there's, a number of, and then obviously, injuries play a huge part. If you have a good team and they lose their quarterback or something like that, things could spiral pretty quickly. It'll be interesting to see, obviously, how the Raiders pan out. I mean, I think getting Geno certainly an upgrade, and he plays better in domes. But
where are the? I mean, have you guys seen? Obviously, the Golden Knights when they came and their success in the first year obviously changed the market, and people bet the Knights a lot more.
It pales in comparison. I mean, the VGK has such a beloved following, and maybe the dollar amount's synonymous just because it's NFL versus hockey, but we don't see the Raider fandom in love as much. I mean, obviously you got some people who want to come down and they're like, oh my God, put the Raiders on sound, and it's like, well, the Chiefs and the it's like the Bills and the Ravens are playing, nobody cares, or it's like they're complaining up at Stadium Swim, and it's like that's the ninth best game of the day. We're not putting it on. So I think you see a much bigger interest in VGK just because they were an expansion team. They've been here longer, and how good they are. Maybe if the Raiders were good.
Yeah, that was my question. What happens if they get good?
Yeah, I mean, if the Raiders were good, maybe that fandom's a little bit different, but we'll have to see how that plays out over the next couple of years.
Yeah, they're not good at the moment. Where are you on the Chiefs? Are you guys seeing a lot of action on KC? The cheaper price than normal preseason to get at KC.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely the third favorite in the AFC. Certainly seen on the Bills and the Ravens.
Okay.
But don't count out Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. I mean, if Josh Simmons can solidify the left tackle spot, they can get healthy in terms of their wide receivers. They get Rashee Rice back. If Hollywood Brown can actually play this season,
right?
They can start pushing the ball down the field, which Mahomes wants to do. I think they have every opportunity to compete with both the Ravens and the Bills. I think one of those three teams wins the AFC. I think one of those three teams wins the Super Bowl. I think I definitely think the AFC is a much more talented conference than the NFC. Depending upon what you think of the Eagles and their ability to repeat. I think the NFC is pretty wide open, and I think the AFC is pretty top heavy with those three teams.
Before I let you go, I want to ask about baseball real quick because the Dodgers have been the odds-on favorite for pretty much the entire year, and yet now we're seeing 3-1. Do you know where you guys have the Dodgers to win the World Series?
I feel like a few days ago we had like plus 255. I don't necessarily know if that's what we make our true fair price, or that's more liability based, because obviously we've taken quite a bit of Dodger money, particularly early in the season, things like that. So it may be a mix of fair and liability, but I think you've seen some of these other teams slowly creep down. Whether that be the Brewers, whether that be the Phillies, whether that be the Tigers, the Cubs, things like that. I think the gap is sort of maybe shrinking a little bit, whereas beginning of the season, everybody thought the Dodgers were going to run away and hide, and I they've struggled with some injuries and some pitching and things like that, and it hasn't necessarily been that way. So it'll be interesting to see how the playoffs play out.
So good result. The Dodgers do not repeat.
I would imagine so. Okay. Given we were at 255 when I assumed the market was closer to 3-1. Okay. If that was the case, then we're probably high liability wise there. So I'd imagine the Dodgers not repeating would be pretty good. People may have that tied into future parlays and things like that.
We'll let you go with this question. You've been kind of tame on X lately. Is this the new Jeffrey Benson? Not a lot of fighting going on? You did make one threat to people at Best Bash. You said, if you come here, we're going to 86 you, which I thought was pretty fun. If you get to fight while you're here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a combination of trying to enjoy my summer, being busy with contest signups, and I'm a year older than I was last year, so maybe as you grow older, your priorities change, and you don't want to fight with people as much. So I'm still on the street mixing it up and throwing it back occasionally, but yeah, I mean, maybe the hashtag Jeff days are I wouldn't say retired, but maybe a little less aggressive than what I used to be.
Kinder, gentler Jeffrey Benson. We love seeing you. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having us. We love being here. This is an unbelievable event. We love this is our 4th year being here. So thank you for having us.
Well, thanks for having us on. Send in thoughts and prayers from the entire Circa Sports team to Mr. Sherapan and his family, and certainly hope to have him back here soon.
Amen. Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
That is Jeff Benson joining us here on versus the book, the Sportsbook manager. Always great to get him on the program. Everything to do with Circa Survivor and Circa Million. I need to go and grab a hold of Aaron Oster. Was supposed to come by. He was here for a second and he sprinted away. I don't know where he went. He's over there texting people because I just want to give him his flowers because he's the mastermind behind this entire.
I can go grab him. I'll be back.
Yeah, I could go. If you could, that would be good, Eric. Just go and say, hey, we got to throw you on. We have a little bit of a schedule. Rex Beyers is going to come by at the top of the hour. For you guys watching on Sports Grid and listening on Sirius, it's not the top of the hour for you guys, but top of the hour for us here on the West Coast at 11 o'clock. Grab Rex, bring him on. Proxy Tom's going to come on by. We're going to talk about what's happening with the Brigade Proxy service for a lot of you, but while we're waiting, we can get rolling here. It is a Fight Song Friday, and I can't play any of the new ones. We do have a new sticker. Now, the unfortunate thing is I can't hear that, but we'll start with the team that's going to play tomorrow. Idaho State's the opponent. Let's go with UNLV. UNLV on a Fight Songs Friday here for the Bostonian versus the book. All right, so we're going to jump out of Aaron Oster. He's not going to be able to join us for today, so we can go into that. A little choppy on the app. Audio is spotty today. That's interesting. So that's new. Okay, so we'll see what's going on with that. If we can, thank you for that. It is spotty on YouTube. Okay, I wonder why. We were good yesterday. Yeah, maybe the internet's a little more overloaded today than it has been before. So thank you for letting us know, guys, about that. Hopefully that's not consistent going for everybody. A couple people, maybe it's on YouTube and not on Twitter, but it happens. There's a lot of people in here today, and I think that's probably one of the more interesting things because I was talking with Aaron about this, and I wanted to bring him on because I wanted to tell him this, that, in terms of where we are from a radio row perspective, this is the second biggest radio row in the country now, which is wild. You stop and think about it because the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl, right? And so there's all these people coming in for the Super Bowl and being a part of the event. The only thing that's not here compared to the Super Bowl are the major networks. Like there's no McAfee set, there's no Fox Sports set, there's no Sirius XM set, there's no ESPN set, there's none of that. But outside of that, we have. Okay, thanks, JC. The audio is better on X. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's a YouTube issue. Thing, yeah. Maybe YouTube has some problems.
I was listening
today.
to it now.
Okay, good. All right. Well, the audio is fine there. So.
No, but I like it. It feels very, local, like a local type of feel. But I mean, there's people from Baltimore.
Country, yeah. I mean, in most of the states that Circa is legal in, right? So you have Illinois, you have Chicago here. That's probably the biggest market that's represented is the Score in Chicago here. But we've got Louisiana us to our left. We've got who else? What else I've seen? Lexington, Kentucky, Seattle. Seattle is here.
Shows, yeah.
All over the country. I mean, and then the internet shows, right? Our show, BBB, the Sports Grid, Sirius XM side,
and that's all the country.
Yeah, it's national, and then we have a lot of people, obviously, who are people like Stephanie Smalls, who's here from the internet side of things, and others who are in town. So I saw some folks from Iowa who are here, another state that Circa is legal in. So, Circa now is starting to really, really branch out and really have, once Missouri goes live in December, you have Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, Kentucky, where else? Colorado, Nevada, obviously. So, and what's so interesting about the way they are doing it, the way that Circa is doing it, is if you remember, there were markets that certain books went into that we talked about, Dave and I talked about, that we weren't sure how they were going to do. We weren't sure that they were going to be able to be successful simply because, oh my gosh, can you go get Keith Murphy? Can you go get Keith Murphy? You need to sit down and say hi for 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds. Just come say hi for 2 seconds. Just go and sit down. I could just 2 seconds. I just need to say hello. I know you're busy. So this is the one that we are on the air. This is the one and the only Keith Murphy. How are you? Iowa everywhere. You guys are here. I didn't know you were coming.
I'm hungover.
Good.
Yeah,
you should be.
Yeah. we went over in Las Vegas for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
You went out. Were you at the open bar last night?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
there.
I just left.
You just left.
Just left the open bar. Yeah.
Andy's not here though, right?
He is not here.
Okay.
No. Just me. And I'm sorry my eyes aren't open. This is me.
It's all right.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I haven't seen you in so long. I just need to know who wins tomorrow. Iowa State, Kansas State. Who wins?
I'm picking Kansas State.
Are you really? I am too.
Oh, okay, good. Well, that makes me feel better.
Okay.
'Cause I know you know what you're doing.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. I just think Iowa State's offensive line is. I'm not positive they're going to be able to move the ball as well, and the receiving core obviously losing 2 weapons.
Yes, and they're losing a starting offensive lineman too. Maybe their best lineman.
I saw that. Not playing, right?
Not playing.
For how long is he out for? Do we know?
It's illness, not injury.
Oh no.
So not sure what that means.
Okay, so that's not great. I don't know how the game plays out over or under. I have no way. I just think Kansas State ultimately doesn't win the game and probably winds up covering it. So I know you got to run.
I got to get on there.
I just want to say hi. It's great to see you.
It's always great to see you, man. You're awesome.
You too, man. That's one and only Keith Murphy from Andy from Iowa everywhere. That was a little stuff. I worked with him. He did. So here's the story behind Keith. So Keith, when I did Matt and Miller, Keith did a show for KXNO Radio in Iowa. Keith was the show before me. So we would sit and do that every day.
So you'd see him.
I would see
live.
They would be live, and we'd come in behind. They were the midday show. We were the afternoon show. So Ken Miller, who a lot of you guys know, he's been on the show a bunch. He's the famous caller who started for the racing. So, but Murphy and Andy has been the #1 show in Iowa forever. I mean, it's an iconic show. So they're going on the air. So I just wanted to have him jump down and say hello because I am a 100% huge fan. He's from Boston. He had multiple chances to leave Iowa to go work at ESPN and other major networks. He said, no, I'm staying. I love Iowa. And so he's been a lifer in Iowa. But they have so much fun. They taught me so much about how to have fun on the air and why comedy and entertainment. I mean, if you guys know who Chris Hassel is, Chris went on. He was their producer for a long time. Chris Hassel went on to do stuff now at CBS Sports and CBS Sports HQ. He's one of their hosts. And so just an unbelievable relationship that things have happened with and how things have gone. It's really, really cool. So that was awesome. That was cool. That was a quick little hello for Keith Murphy. Just to have him come on by and say hi because he's one of the really good guys in media. And he didn't go to Ireland. So I wonder if I should ask him. Andy is his co-host. I wonder if Andy went to Ireland to go to Iowa State, Kansas State. I know a lot of folks are over there. He likes K-State. I like K-State. Tomorrow,
What's the line?
It should be 3. So let's pull that up and see what that is because it was 3 when I bet it, but I don't know if it went back to 3.5 or not because it was 3.5. It got bet down to 3, and then once it hit 3, I went and took it. And yeah, we're solidly at 3 across the entire board. It opened at 3.5. It has been bet down. I expect that number to go back up. By the time kickoff happens, I do expect late money to come in. I think when the limits open up, I do think that number is going to climb back up. I think it'll probably kick off at 3.5. I think K-State's inside. It's early, obviously, so it's tough. But we got a bunch of fun games tomorrow because I think UNLV is going to absolutely demolish Idaho State tomorrow. I would lay that 26.5 at DraftKings. It's 27 at South Point and 27.5 at Superbook. Circa hasn't put it up yet, so Circa is going to watch the market. I think my gut tells me Circa probably puts it up.
You said they're putting it up today
at 20, right? I think the number will be 27.5. I think that will be the number that they put up because Dan Mullen's going to want to put up a number and show that the offense can keep rolling,
right? Yeah.
And so I think that they're not going to take their foot off the gas. I think they're going to go ahead and hammer it. I'm totally with you on the number for tomorrow. It's 3 across the board. I wouldn't lay 3.5. I would lay 3. I think there's a damn good chance that we wind up seeing a push for Iowa State and Kansas State. Rex, you said no. Rex, come on in. Rex Beyers is going to join us here to talk everything football, gambling, and a lot of fun stuff. Go ahead and throw the headset on. That's you. On this, the one and only Rex Beyers. It's been a minute. Oh, it's all backwards. By the way, you pull up the door. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we can hear you. Perfect. How are you?
Oh, thank you.
It's been a minute for you since you've been on BBB.
It's been a minute since I've done anything. my situation with work and life is about the same as it was last year at this time, and kind of the same figures stuff. Really, I hadn't been working the last couple. Done some consulting work with some people, and still have that to pay the bills and eat. A lot of it, obviously, when you have a reputation as I have in my time offshore and the numbers that I've made in these sports, I'm able to get situations like free rolls and swap numbers with other people. For example, my old spot at the Westgate, I was over last week to swap numbers with Ed, and we still exchange college football work every year. And, so I've got a pretty good idea what he likes going into the season. He's got my stuff this weekend, and as the week goes, we'll suggestions and swap all out. That's for my own financial gain with the stuff that we do. But he does whatever he wants to with my work. Obviously, his is unparalleled when it comes to college football and NFL over the years in this town. So I've been laying low, but ready for the season. The work's done. The hardest part for people who make numbers and handicap is actually over. Everybody's been talking about for 3 months. Let's get games. Let's play football. I'm like, let me actually make the numbers of what these games are supposed to be first before we start them. Now, most of the time, even though the way that the season plays out, now it's much different than what it was before with the transfer portals and ins and outs in the spring that used to not happen. Phil Steele's magazine coming out a little bit later because he's trying to get as much information as he needs to the very end. Right. I'm a creature. If I haven't been doing it for 2 decades, you want to make sure that you get the numbers as close to right as you can to start. It's really important that if you're ahead of the curve and you feel like you have an edge, like we're doing one of these games in week 0, then you got to pop it, and then you got to be prepared for the market to adjust accordingly. And if you're wrong, you got to make sure you make your adjustments accordingly.
Are you going to tell us what game you like tomorrow that you think that
we're done with it? Yeah, I have no problem. 310 Kansas, I made much higher against Fresno State. This is a combination of 2 things here. I'm not really high on Fresno's coach. I believe that if you remember right, that team North Dakota State won a bunch of 1AA titles in a row. He took over, and they kind of fell off a little bit. And he actually left last year to go be a coordinator, and they won it again. Yeah. So now he's got his first head coaching job at the 1A level. I call it that. I'm sorry for people.
It's fine. FCS, 1AA.
Just 1A, 1AA. Everybody knows. Yep. But he came there to get this job. I'm not sold on him being anybody that's going to have a chance to. At that conference, at that money, he should win and be successful. But I really think that Kansas has a quarterback that's been playing for about 12 years. They've got a remodeled stadium. It's not quite finished, but they're finally playing home games this year.
$300 million.
And like I said, they played their games at Arrowhead last year. They're up against it. They have a great coach. I believe if you're going to go look for a conference champion that's kind of off the board or a little bit down the list, the Westgate's got them at the 8th choice going in or 7th at about 16-1.
KU to win the Big 12?
As good as anybody. I think that they can win that conference. I've got them power rated right there with a bunch of those teams at that price. I think that there's a lot of value there. So made the game much higher, a little closer to 21-22. And once we saw 13, there was some sharp money on Fresno, but I'm not so sure that they were phoning the game down. I think it will close higher. So if you got a 13 you can get to, that's still recommended for sure. And it's my only real play, to be honest with you, all weekend that I like going in. I was watching for live at halftime stuff tomorrow and some 1AA stuff. But as things stand, nothing else stands out. That's just we're done with it. So looking forward to firing on it.
Can we have you raise the mic up a little bit closer to your mouth? So
sure.
Everyone's very, very interested to hear what you're going to say on this because this is good. All of our KU people are very excited about hearing this on Kansas. Well, who do you have ranked number one? Like in terms of the top for you power, because Texas obviously is on the road. Ohio State's the defending champs. Penn State's got everyone's love. Who do you like? Who's the number one power rated team going into the year?
I was with some people at Naked City last week with Sammy P in town, and we got into this. And a lot of those guys, these pseudo sharks, the Benson guys, the Westgate guys, they seem to think that Texas is going to close the favorite. I just don't agree with that.
Okay,
it's hard for me to think they'll go to Columbus and be favored in that game. I don't necessarily think that they're not better. But Ohio State has to be worth something playing a home game, and they play all. Everybody talks about what would be better at night. Well, really, why? Ohio State plays all their home games at noon. That's what that's what the TV people want. So they're used to the situation. They're used to the spots. 11 a.m. clock for Kansas. I'm sorry, for Texas. So for me, like the point of this, what I'm getting to is, like I said, that game, whatever happens. Those are two of the best teams. One thing that I mentioned, and I talked to a couple other people that are with me on this, that Richie Batchelor was one that we're on the same page. We didn't consult before, but when I talked to him last week, the first thing I noticed this year compared to the last few years is that my preseason numbers, there's no standouts. It wasn't like you had an Alabama or an LSU or a Georgia that was 6 or 7 points better than the third or fourth or fifth best team. It's not that this year. You can't go in and say that's the situation. Now, obviously, those teams are going to be the ones. If you give me a handful of about 8 teams, I'm probably going to take the champion if you take the field out of those other ones. And that's different than like basketball or a lot of other sports. So that kind of takes the fun out of it. But at the same time, there's no standouts going in. Now, these teams will separate themselves as the season goes on. But the 8 or 10 or 12 teams, you can almost throw, I would say, no more than a touchdown between any of them. Oh. And that's it. Until you still start to see them play. Now, again, people will take stands on teams like I am with Kansas, or like I am. Some people are with Hawaii, for example, against Stanford. Bet that game up. Like I say, I don't know until I see him play, unless I have a really, really good feel. Unless a team like Buffalo, where I love the coach, I'm going to rate higher, artificially, just because I don't want to be against them until they actually show me that they should be betting.
I know we're here for Circa, but do you like the Westgate's college football contest?
I'm in it. Yeah. I'm excited about the fact that I like to be going this year. They haven't done it. They didn't market it, so it's not going to get anywhere near. Right. I caught some real ridicule on Twitter. It almost chased me off my account for a month, basically saying I thought they might get 4,000 or 5,000 people in the thing. That was just piss and vinegar and maybe probably having one too many cocktails. So I've sort of like cut the cocktails out of my life.
So you think that number is too low?
Oh, no, it's not going to come close. No, they're Murray talked about it last week. They're not going to have it marketed. It's only a nickel. That's what I thought would get a lot of interest.
I thought it would crush.
There just hasn't been enough people. Like I said,
I don't think anybody knows about it. I mean, honest to God, I think they haven't done anything to market it. Because I think a real college football contest hasn't happened since William Hill.
William Hill had one 4 years ago. That was the last one. That was for 1,000. I thought that nickel would draw a lot of people in, but again, it's the same thing. You got to sign up. You got to have a proxy. You got to be here. I don't know, like I said, what the interest is. 7 games every week becomes dicey. The one thing that I like about that is William Hill picked the schedule and made you pick their games. Well, there was hardly MAC games on there. I can promise you that I'll be on 2 or 3 MAC. And
of course,
you got to sift through the trash to find the treasure. And 7 games isn't so hard when you have the whole board to pick through it. The fact that I know what Ed's opinion is on some of these teams going in, that gives me a little bit of a built-in edge.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like I say, I think they'll end up being, probably 2,000. Can I say that 1,500, 2,000? But again, I don't, without seeing what they're trying to shoot for, talking to John, I really don't know what's going to happen with it. But
what's the max entry?
I think it's, like I said, I think you can have 10, maybe it's only 5, but it's only a nickel to get in. So I fully expect there'll be some people that
max out
come in the next week. But again, with the fact that it starts a week earlier than the NFL, may curtail some of it too, because a lot of people will come into town the week of week 1 of the NFL to do double hit. Go to Westgate, sign up for the 5,000 to 1,500, and then hit all the circus stuff, and kind of kill all their birds with one stone, find their proxy. And that's sort of been the way that it's worked out. And that's the other thing in this business, the word proxy. I really thought that would go the way of the dodo bird and be extinct by now, because it's just why do you need people to do your stuff? Well, as long as the rules in place where you have to be in Nevada to put the pick in, then that's proxies will be here forever, because that survivor contest will never stop growing.
I agree with you. It's going to keep going and going and going. Do you have any advice for people who may be in the survivor? Because last year we saw 35% out after week 1, and we saw another 15% or so go out after week 2. We chopped it pretty aggressively last year before we got to October. Any advice?
I've played game theory in that thing. I've done, you play with partners. You got guys, offshore friends of mine will chart like what the public people are betting, and then like Friday, I'll go, "Do you like this game?" Well, sorry, everybody else does too. When I haven't. And one year, my buddy navigates through about 6 or 7 weeks, and it gets to a week where he doesn't like anything. And this is like 3 years ago, and the Bengals played at the Jets, and the Jets were bad, and the Bengals were like 6-1 or 5-1. I said, "Well, the Bengals are laying like less than a field goal." I said, "It's kind of a trap spot, but I don't know how they don't beat the Jets." And don't worry, they lost. And last year, the Bengals, who I said it until I was blue in the face, the Patriots were the worst team in the league.
But
the Bengals had a starter. But I'll take the Bengals. They have a tough schedule. This is the week to use them. Let's get them out of the way. I know the whole world's going to be on them. And so week 1 last year, I was out. The best thing about that is you don't have to sweat anymore.
Nope.
Everybody ask you about your opinion. My opinion became much more valuable when I wasn't in the contest anymore because I didn't have the pressure. So everybody was asking me week 5, week 6, what do you think? How would you have done? I would have already lost 3 times. You could ask me what I want.
We're good, right?
Help you out.
Do you think it happens again? Is there any? Is there an eyeball game there in week 1 of the league of the NFL? Do you think it's a trap? Because I think a lot of people. I said it yesterday. You got to have big stones to take Cleveland to go and take the pull up week 1.
So I was going to get real fast because I had looked at a couple of things that you can put them up on the screen where the lines were. That's fine, whatever. But let's see, off the top of my head,
everyone. I mean,
yeah. Okay, because the whole world's going to be against the Saints every time they can.
So the Cardinals are going to be popular.
It's a dicey spot though because Arizona's on the road. I actually like the quarterback. I think they're going to pick the kid that played some last year. So I'm not.
You think Ratcliffe's going to start?
He'll start. I think he's better than what people think. I usually have a good read for the quarterbacks. I would not be surprised if they're competitive.
Bengals Browns is the game that I think you should take. It was the Bengals, but the Bengals have burned so many people. And I think everyone's going to stay away from the Bengals, saying, "I'm not doing it again."
The people will do it. They say that, but when it comes time to get to the window, the Bengals will be a popular pick. Right? The Redskins will be a popular pick. The Giants again.
But that's a divisional game.
Be very cautious with that. The Giants have looked better. They feel like they were playing with. Sometimes they have a tough schedule, but they're healthy now.
Right.
And the Redskins caught a lot of breaks last year in close games. So there are some things that could conspire. But I think they'll be the most popular pick.
What about the Broncos over the Titans?
So we have to win, and they'll be the other Broncos, the Redskins, and probably Bengals in the top 3. And if anybody's trying to dodge the game theory stuff, they can look for something where they're going against a team that they might think is overrated or going with a team maybe that's underrated. But in Survivor, it's tough. Like, you're not going to see anybody bet the Monday night game. You're not going to see anybody use the Sunday night game. Thursday night game will only be used by people who have an unlimited bankroll and are willing to get back in. But it's not like it's Circa. They do a good job here. They do not tell anybody the picks.
Yeah.
It's like you can't just sit there and say, well, it's a free roll. Whoever takes the Eagles in week 1 and they lose, they're going to get back in. Well, nobody knows how many people are going to be on Philadelphia in week 1 until after the picks are closed. So, there will be some people that do that and take a shot. And that's, there's no problem with that. I'm sure the Circa people like it because it boosts up the number of entries, but they're going to be well past the guarantee this year. I think it'll go 20 to 23 million. And, good. Well, why not?
Wow.
I mean, they're pacing above it already. Now it's not going to stop anybody from coming. The popularity continues to go up. I really think Barry's going to have a decision next year to use 25 to 30. But I'm more ambitious than his marketing people, and even more ambitious than him when I say that.
But I don't think you're wrong.
If you just look at the scale, the way that it's grown by the number each year, like if you're using a chart that shows how high it goes, there's been no sign of let up, and they do an incredible job of marketing. I mean, they really he's got national advertisements now. And he's got the show tomorrow. He's got the platform tomorrow where he has a mic, being the MC for the host for host now. I think this is 4 or 5 years they've used different people on the panel. So kudos to them for setting this up and trying to do what they can to make it what it is. I mean, given the fact that there's no rake, it's really hard to say anything bad about what they're doing.
14.2 last year when he guaranteed 10, so we went 4.2 million over last year. I mean, obviously we're at 15 million of a guarantee this year. We're going to blow past that. We're going to wind up with I think 19, 20 is very possible. You're even more aggressive.
I think it's a cinch. I would be shocked if it doesn't get to at least
20 million to be in the prize pool is insane. So then we go from there. And then again, I think millions gets left behind. And I think from an average player perspective, if you're not looking to have $10,000 invested or don't have that type of bankroll or people around you that's going to be able to spot you, that millions is a lot of fun. It's 18 weeks of entertainment.
Yeah, you can do it for a dime. I have a friend of mine who books the football and doesn't even bet, and he's not good at the NFL that he's self-proclaimed bad, but he'll be in this contest.
Yep.
And he's like, this is my way to get my sweat. I got 5 picks that I have to make, whether I like it or not, every week, the whole year. I'm invested. And a couple years ago, Murray had a deep run and come in the top 25 or whatever.
Wow.
He self-proclaimed doesn't know anything, but he got towards the end. He's like, well, do you like anything? Or are you seeing anything? And I would tell him, he's got his people where he's looking at what the public's doing and what the sharps are doing at that place. And I've got people that are, I have access to get sharp and public info, and I fed it to him, and he was able to just disseminate the information as he saw fit. And if he's on the fence about a couple of games, he used one of them, and it worked out well for him down the stretch. And again, like I said, not everybody has the access to do that. But if you have the chance to get in Survivor contest, even if it's only one, the
Millions,
even if it's only one, it's probably going to be another overlay. If he had the guaranteed 6 last year, they didn't change it. I think it won't get to 6 again this year. And to be honest, it's hard to go down. So he'll probably end up having to use 6 next year. And if there's so many people in the Survivor next year, like it gets to 25, 28 next year, they'll get to 6 by default because people have money coming out of their ass.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to be. People are going to look at that board and go, "Why would I get in this contest?
Right,
8,500, and the overlay is going to be gone." The other one, you look up right now, it's the overlay is 3.2 compared to 6.4. Well, the 6.4's already got, it's only to 15. The 3.2, it's not even half full.
Right.
So, if you do the percentages, it's pretty simple. And I'm actually shocked that there's 20 people that have already given
that's what I was asking.
100K into the first-time contract. So, first of all, I think anybody, if you'd asked him, would have said he's going to make that 10, 25, 20 or 25 or 50. 100 was like way over anybody's vision. But now you got the people pooling money together. You got the poker players. You got the guys that have the big groups. Anybody that thinks that they might have an advantage or a model that they have the money to spend, they're going to get involved. If they think that they have a chance, there might have been get in early and try to scare some money off. I don't know what the thought process is to get 100,000 at the cage, a full month or a month and a half before the first game. Like, kudos to them, and they'll have to guarantee more on that next year. I mean,
that's incredible.
I thought 15 or 20 was the number.
Yeah.
20. It's already got 20. So I think next year they'll probably be 25 or 30, and that'll be interesting. And of course, it all depends on what happens. There are factors that involve the economy. You ever heard everybody saying that the sky's falling in Vegas, but ultimately it's not falling. The people that they want here are here. They don't want the freeloaders and the riffraff.
Yeah.
They're not interested in the medium rollers. Not interested in the guys that'll put 20K in coin over 3 or 4 days. That's the kind of customer that I and a lot of my friends in my Gen Z age group have been in.
Right.
They don't want that. They want you to have a lot more money than that, and they're willing to give you what you want. And if you're not, that's just sorry. You're going to spend.
It's different, right? I mean, because I think Vegas made its reputation of going into a place where you could spend.
And I'm, like I said, I have a lot of friends that from the offshore background and friendly with the mob guys 30, 40 years ago, friends of friends. Not me personally. I'm a little young for that, but they ran things a different way, and pretty much everybody talks in hymns and haws about the good old days. You could say what you want to about the way that they did things. The bottom line is the way they conducted business was far superior than anything that you see these days.
Yeah,
it's hard to dispute that.
They knew what they were doing, and they knew who they were talking to. And now, like you said, I mean, we're going after a much higher clientele, and we're looking at people who are going to spend $200,000, $300,000 on a weekend versus someone who's going to come in and spend $200 on a weekend. So we have a different clientele than what we used to have, and the crowds aren't the same. And frankly, we live here. I can't say it's all that bad. It's easier to get around, it's easier to drive, it's easier to get into things than what it was in previous times. I want to ask you about baseball because I know you pay attention to everything. Are you of the opinion that the Dodgers are going to pull out of this funk, or are they showing some cracks here that could really cause it problematic for them?
I have the Dodgers tonight, 9-11 minus 116. This is Snell and Dodgers. I think it was the same matchup last weekend. I feel like the Dodgers are sort of playing with their food. A lot of this is kind of, it's, you combine the fact that they won it last year, so there's a little bit of a hangover, win or lose. You had to play more games than everybody else. They had to basically count on their bullpen to bail them out, literally to get an elimination game once and then again in the World Series. So, even though they pick up all this pitching depth and they try to do what they can to they almost are cognizant that they're going to throw their arms into the ground. They say, okay, we're going to just get as many arms as we can because the way that we throw with high velocity, high rotation, you're going to get hurt. I mean, it's a terrible way. They treat them as a commodity rather than a human. But that's the way that front office is built, and that's the way that they've succeeded. And they've set it up where they got their guys coming back or trying to come back. When it's important, like basically now. Like Snell, he pitched once early this season. They shut him down. They said, we don't need you all the way through until August. Get healthy, ramp up, and when October comes, that's why you pay your money. It's not just like I say. There's the Dodgers treat the regular season because they're so good and they have enough talent. Like I said, they play with their food. They do what they have to do. They may or may not get the one. The one's irrelevant. In football, it's not the same thing. There are 7 teams. You have to get the one if you're going to skip a game.
Right.
The Dodgers just need to be the one or the two. Milwaukee seems to have a pretty comfortable hold on that, and they'll be okay with that. And they've handled Milwaukee in the playoffs. I think that, like I said, when push comes to shove and they play the Padres like this weekend, just like last weekend, they'll win 2 of 3 to win the series, and they'll extend the lead out west. And they're not going to win about 7 or 8 games unless San Diego just white flags it at the end. I think it'll be competitive. But the Dodgers, I think, will have enough to get to the playoffs. I think that they'll have a bye, and then it becomes you have a few days off. You're going to let rust beat you, because that's the danger. Those teams that have the 1-2 are running into teams that are hot or have already played a couple of games in the series and are playing with house money. That's kind of what's happened here, and obviously happened with the Mets last year in Milwaukee. So, tough to say. I still think the Dodgers are head and shoulders the best if they're healthy. That's a big caveat. But they've had holes. They've had problems. The lineup hasn't hit at the bottom. Betts had his issues, but are you telling me that you're really going to try to doubt them? They need to win games in October. I don't see it. I feel like the Dodgers are clearly a class above the rest when it comes to time to actually having to win games. And this weekend, I think, will be another statement.
So they're as high as 3-1 at certain books right now. This is the highest we've seen the Dodgers in quite a long time. Do you think there's value in taking the Dodgers?
I don't necessarily know if there's value because of the fact that they still have to get over some injuries that have been playing. I don't know.
Pitching.
You're almost better. Yeah, you're almost better off waiting until the playoff. You're almost better off waiting. I don't know if the price is going to get lower. The only way it'll go higher than this is if they don't get by in the first round.
Okay.
Because they'll be forced to play another series, which if you extrapolate the math out, will make it like math is if you bet Dodgers to win the series, the next series, the next series. Like if they only have to win 3, the price is going to be rough because they'll be close to the favorite around and pick them at the worst in any of those 3 series. So 3-1 would be like a mathematical number that adds out. If they play a 4th series, now you're talking about closer to 50 or 500, just because even though there'll be a bigger series in that first, a bigger favorite in that first series, it adds another set of games that you have to win to get to the next round. I don't want to get here and give a math lesson.
No. Important.
Just adding games makes the series price different. So as long as they are in one of those 2 spots where they're going to get a bye, then 3-1 is very similar to what you will see when October comes. And if they for whatever reason lose the division, then it'll go up, substantially closer to 9-2-ish, give or take.
I'm selfishly asking because I have a 27-1 ticket on the Brewers to win the World Series, so I'm going to try to
great hold there. There's no reason to do anything with it. Like I said, there. Everybody talks about monetizing and hedging. I'm out. At least miss me with that. If you made a bet at the time that you thought it was a good bet, it depends on the investment. Obviously, the discussion can be had because you got how much did you bet? And I'm not asking that. I'm asking how much did you bet at the time? Did you think if it hits, it's going to change my life? I routinely look at spots where I'm betting. Last year Sammy P and I had Kentucky to win the national championship of college basketball.
Okay.
When they lost a couple games in November to 150-1. I don't want to sit here and admit a crime, but I basically structured the ticket to ensure that it would pay just under the tax threshold.
Okay.
And that's a number for me. If it paid $9,500, that's fine because that's not enough money to change my life. I'm not going to worry about monetizing that ticket. If Kentucky gets beaten the Sweet 16, which they did, that's out.
Right.
Now, if they get to the final and they're catching 4 or 5 in the final against Florida or whoever, then you can bet like 2 dimes on the other side if you want. But like I said, it's different in these contests. And I kind of glanced at the show that the Circa and Vicent put on about the content. Just I'm not watching it closely, but I got the audio on while I'm working in the background, and I hear them talking about once you get so far, you have to make sure you monetize the value on this ticket is now perceived at $250,000 for a $100 or $1,000 ticket. Yeah, of course, you'd be ridiculous. You'd have to talk to some people to see parts of it sell. You call buy it in terms of semi hedge, and like I said, there are people that have more opinions about all that than I do. But if you have the Brewers at 27-1 to win the World Series, and it's not going to change your life, there's no reason for you to do anything with that ticket until at least the league championship series.
Where can folks find you? Are you still active on social? Where can people get more information like this from you, Rex?
I will be on Twitter a lot more as we start the games, and it's Rex REX _Beyers BEYERS. I'm working on popping up a Twitch channel.
Oh,
that's something that the gambling people haven't exploited properly yet.
Yeah.
I'll be doing some maybe Substacks or emails in the mornings, a list that people can sign up for free. I'll do a YouTube update in the afternoons starting here in the next week or so.
Love it.
Talking about line line history, where they open, what's happened with it. I think that this will get people that are maybe a little bit casual, haven't really heard my work and understand what I'm doing, into it a little bit. And then I'm at my house. I got 9 televisions watching games. I can't show the TVs, but I will show myself watching TVs as I react to what's going on. I'll be talking about what to do live, what to do at half times.
I like it.
Injury situations, anything that's going on over the course of the game. I feel like, I don't really have boobs, which would be a big advantage, but there are a lot of things that I do have that I can bring to the table. I'm a unicorn, a one of one when it comes to the handicapping and the sports part of it. So I just wanted to stop by, and I would be remiss not to say that I was thinking about David. Obviously, we hope that he's checking us out and can communicate with you at some point and say hello. He and I go back, and we have a very similar friend circle, and we have a bond that not many have. In fact, that we worked offshore for many, many years, and then he got his gaming license in Nevada when he started at the M, and I got mine when I started at the South Point several years ago. So, hopefully everything's well with him, and good to see you hanging in there, battling through as it goes. Wish you guys nothing but the best.
Good stuff, Rex. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it, my man.
Sure, Matt. Take care of yourself.
That is Rex Beyers joining us here in the Bostonian versus the book. Thank you for coming on. That was awesome to have him on, talking everything about what's happening for the NFL and the college football season. So there you go. If you haven't fired in that Kansas game, I'm going to be trailing that for sure, because there are 13s in the market. So you can get less than 2 touchdowns on that if you want to look around and find a market to jump in on that. So good stuff with Rex. That was a lot of fun to get in there on that. Let's see. Matt, good thing talking about the Cowboys yesterday. I had to listen live instead of listening in the pod. We talked about the Cowboys today.
Yeah, you said what, Cowboys to win the division?
Yes, 5-1.
5-1.
Yes.
5.5 to win.
Did it change? Did the numbers move? I don't know. Today. If you haven't jumped on them, 5.5. I still think plus 5.5 on the Cowboys to win the division is the right play. With that, and I know some people are against that, and they like the Eagles or they like the Commanders. I don't. You just heard Rex say it. He's not incredibly high on the Commanders. I'm not incredibly high on the Commanders. Hi, JJ. I'll see you in a little while. We'll hang out. I'll come see you. Appreciate you being here.
BK's got.
What do they got? 6.5 to 1. Wow, there you go. Even better. Wow, numbers went up. That's a better price. Okay. So, what are the Eagles? Hold on, go back to that.
The Eagles, we're looking at
for divisions right there. Eagles to win the NFC are minus 140. Commanders are plus 220. Cowboys are plus 650. I love the Cowboys at plus 650 on that. That's tremendous. I think that's that's shop. See, FanDuel's at 550. DraftKings is at 650. I wouldn't bet them to win the division. Win the Super Bowl. I'm not that high.
So if you're thinking that, so it's Eagles or Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, is the Commanders to miss the playoffs?
Plus 125. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that at all. The only problem is you cannot win the division and make the playoffs. So you have to look at how the other divisions are going to play out from a wild card perspective.
Yeah.
Because you could get 3 teams from the East to get in. It could be Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders all make the playoffs. That's not insane. The South is really not a good division, like we know. The West is going to be difficult. I like the 49ers, obviously. What do the Rams look like? You have to think that if Stafford is healthy, the Rams are going to make the postseason. So you have to go with that. And then in the North, you think the Lions most likely win the division, right? Are the Bears going to make the playoffs? They might. The Bears are minus 195 to miss the playoffs at DraftKings. So that's a number there worth paying attention to on that. So there's a lot of interesting things, a lot of ways you can skin this cat when you go into the playoffs or in the regular season. The Broncos are plus 130 to miss the playoffs. I don't like that bet at all. The Broncos are going to make the playoffs, and as we talked about earlier in last week a lot with Debro, how high he is on the Broncos. There's a lot of people. I think the Broncos over their win total is a bet that I'm going to make before I get out of here.
Is it 9.5?
Right. It should be 8.5 for the Broncos. And I think, some people think they're going to be way over that. DraftKings currently has what? Let's see. You can bet over 8.5 at minus 250. Over, see the 9.5? Now it's minus 125. That's almost unbettable. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing for the Broncos to win. And then if you go to Debro, you go over 12.5. That's plus 450. That's not okay. Here's a little strategy, and I'm not saying you should do this, but you could do this. DraftKings lets you ladder, and I may wait till I get to New Hampshire to bet this. You can ladder this, where you go 9.5, 10.5, 11.5, and 12.5, and bet them all. And you can go, and granted, okay, you can split a unit up and bet it on all 4, or you can bet one unit at over 9.5, and then you can bet coming straight down. You can bet all over 10.5, over 11.5, over 12.5, and you can go ahead and bet a quarter unit on all of those.
Anything after 10 wins is
You're profitable.
Money, right?
Yeah, as long if they win 12 games, it's 2-1. Then it's over 10.5, it's over 9.5. So you get all 3 of those, so you're profitable. If they go over 12.5 and win 13 games, now you're at plus 450. Now you're completely. But if they only win 10 games, you're still with one unit. You still hedged off of that, and you've won your first bet. You're not going to make money on it, but you're not going to lose money either on it. So those are plays that I think if you like a team in the preseason, you have opportunities to go and capitalize right now. And so that is how I would approach the Broncos if you like what Debro's talking about. He's not the only one. There's a lot of people that are very, very high on the Denver Broncos. Maybe. Cardinals are going to win the NFC West. Oh, there's a take, Santana.
I don't know. Something about the NFC West, specifically with the Rams. I don't know. Something about Stafford's injury just really worries me.
I agree with you.
I feel like he's one hit away from
it's a back injury for a guy in his 30s.
Well, look,
I'm a guy in my 40s with a back injury. I know what it's like. It sucks.
Then I'm bringing up Nakua and Adams' receptions prop, and I'm like, would it be looking like an under prop for them for the whole year? Because I just don't know what the quarterback play is going to look like for the Rams.
I would agree. It is
right?
I think from a betting perspective, it's a little dangerous.
I feel like we see Stetson Bennett.
Correct, but the danger is what happens if we don't. I'm with you, but what happens if it winds up turning into a situation where Stafford is healthy and he's going to eviscerate those numbers if he's healthy. So that's only you're basically betting on an injury, and I'm oftentimes skeptical to bet on injuries just because we don't know what to believe. Teams are natural liars. They're not going to tell us the truth.
No.
They don't want us to know. So unless I had information that someone told me, like, hey, by the way, that injury is legit, or no, it's fine, I wouldn't necessarily bet off of it.
Like steroids. Like he's doing shit that is like unlike what you're supposed to be doing with that injury.
He wants to play, right? Yeah. So he's getting, he's getting injections, cortisol injections to take the inflammation down. But he's playing football with 300-pound men falling on him. So I don't care how many shots you take to the back, he's going to hurt. I mean, he's going to be sore, and he's going to have to deal with just the overall, rigors of playing football. So to me, I think there's going to be a really interesting look at what happens with the Rams because, again, I bet the Niners are plus 110 to win the division. I think the Niners are going to be great. I think McCaffrey will be back. I think Purdy's going to play well. If Jimmy G plays JPC the fourth, they're in deep trouble. Okay, but they have 2 really good wide receivers. I mean, 2 really good wideouts
and a good running back.
2 good running backs. So it's that's the problem. I think when you're fading the Rams, we know what Sean McVay is capable of putting out there on the field. If we don't see what happens with the back injury, if it isn't that big of a deal, they can protect Stafford. I think the Rams are going to be really difficult. But in big divisional games, can he take a big hit? Right? Can he survive if he gets cracked?
Especially once it starts getting colder, man.
The Rams are playing against the Eagles on the road. I mean, yeah, absolutely. There's some issues there when it comes down to
looking at plus 155 Niners for the division. And then somebody mentioned Cardinals plus 425, at least on DK.
So DraftKings is where did the so there's something to pay attention to. That number was plus 110, and then it was minus money a week ago. Now that number is plus 155. So what would that tell you? That tells you that somebody bet the Rams big to move that number. Somebody knows something about Stafford's injury. Somebody thinks there's huge value on the Rams, and they took the Rams. Because that number now has dropped down from plus 250 to 200, and the Niners went from plus 105, minus 105, minus 110 even, to now plus 155. So that's an interesting move with the NFC West on the Rams. Someone's asking about the Seahawks at 5-1. I don't think so. No, Chris Garby, I don't think Seattle has much of a shot at winning that division.
The way that Darnold played late last season was just.
I think, and I agree with something that was said to us on the air with Debro last or 2 weeks ago. The underrated nature of Kevin O'Connell, of KOC, that how good he is as a coach. then I think we're going to figure that out when Sam Darnold goes to the Seahawks, and we're going to go, oh, right.
See how he plays.
See how he plays without Kevin O'Connell running the offense. And that's why J.J. McCarthy could play incredibly well this year and put up huge numbers with the Vikings. So coaching matters, and quarterback whisperers matter. And KOC is a quarterback whisperer. So I'm happy for Sam Darnold. I'm glad he got paid, but I think we're going to see the jet version of Sam Darnold with Seattle. So I'm not in.
Seeing ghosts.
Yeah, I'm not in on Seattle at all on them going with that. So from there, then we go with the Cardinals. And I'm sorry, I loved coming out of college. I thought Kyler Murray was going to be a really interesting guy because I was like, you know what? He could run and really throw. He has a killer arm, but health was always the worry, and health is still the worry for him. I don't know if he can make a whole season. And I don't know how good that offense is. Defense might be better than people think, but no, I don't think the Cardinals. And you look at the numbers at DraftKings, over 7.5 minus 220, over 8.5 minus 125.
Man, that's a bad sweat for the whole season.
8 and 9. They go 8 and 9, and that's right in the middle there, and that would be over 7.5, but under 8.5. I think that's what they wind up doing.
Is that enough to get second in that division?
No, unless the Rams completely fall apart. I mean, I think 1-2 is Rams Niners.
You think Seahawks 6-7 Seahawks?
I mean, if we see a complete total collapse for them, I mean, out of the gate, Seattle plays in the first game. The Niners. And the Niners are favored on the road. So that's, 6 or 7. That's a game. Well, I can't believe that number's under 3. Goodness. You know what? If I was in Survivor, you know what I would use? Niners.
From the Niners week 1?
I'd use the Niners week 1. I'd go totally off the beaten path. I'd take the Niners. It's a road favorite, I know, but without the weather being a huge factor in Seattle, which I don't think it's going to be, it's September. Normally, you don't see that much rain. It's not going to be cold in Seattle.
But, I mean, they're not going to have Ayuk out there. You're probably not going to have Juwan Jennings out there. Is any dealing with that?
I don't think they need them. I don't think they need them. I mean, Niners are all about CMC. How are you, sir?
Rex Beyers?
What about it? Why can't I put Rex on? No? That's mean. That's mean. Mike Palm making fun of Rex. That's can't make fun
you
of
got
Rex.
San Fran, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, Arizona, Tampa, Jacksonville, Houston. It's not a completely terrible start to the schedule for the Seahawks, but
Chicago John like the 49ers for week 1. I don't know. Wait a minute. Did that happen? Did B-Rob become a Niner? Did that happen? I mean, I've been so engrossed with the content stuff here that I completely missed that. If that actually happened, did Brian Robinson get traded?
Yep. So Commanders traded Brian Robinson to the 49ers in exchange for a 2026 6th-round pick.
Oh, how brilliant!
Brian Robinson will be a
how
49er.
brilliant is that? That is a brilliant trade, man. That's. I agree with the King of Car Seats. Niners just picked up a ton of value. So they're going to run the holy hell out of the football. And now they got a legitimate backup to Christian McCaffrey that they can ride. Wow, what's the depth chart in the for the Niners now behind in the backfield? This is, I mean, again, I got plus 110. You can get plus 155 right now on the 49ers. If you have DraftKings, I would jump on that right now before that moves because that can't. I'm stunned at that. I got to go and talk to Debro about that because I can't believe that moved in that way.
So you're going to have Christian McCaffrey, Brian Robinson, Isaac Guerrero, and then that's pretty much it. Jordan J. And then Guerrero got a lot of playing time last year. So
he's a third backs. He's a third down back, right? He's just a guy on screen.
Yeah, he's a third down back.
But you don't want McCaffrey off the field.
And now you have your third down back with Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
So
they're going to run the ball. I mean, that's Purdy. Hand the ball off.
I mean,
George Kittle.
This 1-2 punch reminds me of what the Lions got with Jahmyr Gibbs and their other running. Like, this is perfect. You're not going to have many wide receivers to start the year, but at least you can run the hell out of the ball.
Pull up the Niners to win the division. Ish is asking if the line already moved while we're talking. That would be wild if to win the division right there, division winner for the 49ers to win the West. No, it's still at DraftKings. It's plus
155.
155 right now. Again, I got plus 110 on this. So for me to get plus 110, obviously I would rather have the 155. I don't know if I'll double bet it, but I would rather have that ticket than what I have at plus 110 for that. So that's, okay. I like what the Niners are doing there in the backfield. I like that a lot. My question would be motivation for Ryan Robinson. Is he extra pissed off and fired up to go and run and after being traded and not playing? So yeah, San Fran plus 150. I'm really surprised. Again, I got at plus 110, and it was most of the year. So clearly, there's some folks that like the Rams, and clearly some folks came in and bet the Rams that gave more value on the 49ers to win the division. But I think the Niners, what are they doing in the Super Bowl now at DraftKings? They got to be what, 10-1, 11-1, 20-1. Okay, Niners 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. Okay, I mean, look at the prices. Bills 6-1. Same thing with the Ravens. Eagles 7-1, and then we go to the Chiefs 8.5, Lions 11, Commanders 20, Niners 20, Packers 20, Rams 22, Bengals 22, Vikings 25-1, and the Broncos 25-1, all at DraftKings. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's well, Steve. No cap room doesn't matter for this year. I go year to year in the NFL. I'm a year to year guy because there's a lot of people that figure out all sorts of unique ways of circumventing the cap to make it work. So teams are magicians.
Yeah, the new MVPs of the NFL are the accountants.
Yeah,
so.
I mean everyone figures out a way.
Shout out to accountants
to do that. So, wow, Adam says 49ers paid less for B-Rob than the Vikings gave up for Jordan Mason.
Yeesh.
I mean, that's what I mean. It's
and that's Jordan Mason off the injury too.
Yeah, to win the NFC 6-1 for a conference winner for the Niners to make the Super Bowl. It's 9.5 to 1. King Garcia 9.5 to 1 at DraftKings for that. So if you want that, then that's here you go. He doesn't. The reason why the CBW is saying that the Commanders didn't want to pay him the $3 million. Well, he didn't fit the offense anymore.
No.
I mean, he now is with an offense that is more traditional to him as to how he's going to wind up playing.
Run downhill and bang through the wall, through the line.
Yeah,
Washington likes those screen plays.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler type of running backs.
They had multiple, but I mean, because of Jaden Daniels, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Daniels is the guy that's going to pick up the ball,
extra yards,
third and short,
Yeah.
second and short. It's going to be Daniels. It's not going to be a running back that will do that. So that's why he just didn't fit anymore for them to go into the division that way. So it made sense to trade him. But what is it for them to win the 1 seed? 6-1 to win the 1 seed? Don't call me a dumb. Come on.
6-1
Okay, to be number 1 seed. Pull their schedule up, Eric, if you would, for the Niners. Can they win 50? I think you're going to have to win
really
14 or 13 games to have the best record in the NFC. Can they win 14 games? They start on the road with 2 games they should win, Seattle and New Orleans. Then they play Arizona at home, Jacksonville at home, at the Rams, at the Bucks. That's interesting. I mean, they could start the Rams game. They probably lose. They probably lose the Rams game. So I think they open up 4-0 late, week 14. That makes it hard to get it. But if you're on a run, you don't want the bye week. You want to keep going.
Oh, yeah.
So they lose. Let's say they lose to the Rams. They beat Tampa, but that second game, they could lose both those games. They could lose both those Rams and Tampa road games. So they would go open up 4-0. They'd be 4-2. They play Atlanta at home. They win there. They go to Houston. They win there. They could. That Giant game should be. So then they win both those 2 games. Rams at home. They win at Arizona. They beat Carolina. They beat Cleveland. So they'd have 3 losses. 2 losses. I think they could be after week 13. Okay, so they have 2. Tennessee's a win. At Indy's a win. Chicago at home and home for Seattle. Well, okay.
All right.
I mean, I don't think they wind up going 15-2, but
you want to see what their
how about 13 wins? Their win total is like 9, isn't it? For their win total. 20-1 to win it all is not a bad number on the 49ers.
No, their
on
win
this.
total, their win total is up there. It's 9.5 minus 170.
Oh my,
it's pretty bad. Yeah,
for them to win 10. What is nine? Look at that.
9.5, 170.
And then over 10.5 is plus 110. That's shop around and find the best price on over 9.5. Yeah, so find that. Tom, you can sit down. Sit down. Whatever you like. On that. Interesting. Okay, so we like the 49ers. Clearly, we like the 49ers. On that. All right, let's talk. Go ahead and throw that on.
Division wins for the 49ers over 3.5 plus 110. Just throwing it out there.
To go 4-2 in the division.
To go,
They go have to go 4-2. I don't mind.
You ought to beat Seattle twice.
You're right. You just got to worry about that one trip up because the Rams are going to most likely split with the Rams. Who do you lose? Who's that second loss to? Would be my question. They go 5. They go 5-1.
Or no.
You mean Cardinals?
Yeah.
Seattle. They should go 4-0 against the Cardinals in Seattle and split with the Rams. I like that. Over 3.5 wins. Okay. I see when they play those games exactly though, just because of the. Is there any of those games come on the second?
They start off the season with Seattle. Then you have
fine.
Arizona. So that's 2 wins right there.
Okay,
off the
there's
rip.
2. Where's
Rams? That's the L.
that's the L.
Then you won't play another division game.
So the Rams at home. That's a win.
Arizona
At Arizona
to get the 3.
and 3.
And then you have a chance with
Seattle.
Seattle
That's
again.
before actually with that win against
So
Arizona.
you honestly would have to take one of these Rams games to kind of not make it a sweat heading into the late season. You would have to. It would have to be a must-win against the Seattle, and then who knows?
But that's a home game with Seattle, and I guess you could say they don't need it. If they would be 3-2 going in, and they didn't need it.
They might be already into the playoffs.
It
would be a sweat.
That would be the fear. But then you would just bet Seattle on their side though. Once you got down to that, you would just hedge off of it and just make sure you don't lose money. Yeah. So I don't mind it. All right. Joining us for the first time. I can't believe this is the first time that we're going to be talking. Proxy Tom, Vegas Proxy, joining us here on BBB. How are you? Thank you for joining us. We got a lot to talk about.
Busy.
Yeah.
But all good.
What is this like? Because it feels like it's the eye of the storm a bit because you had that first initial rush. So now we have a little calm and we're about to go into like insaneville for you.
You know, the eye of the storm over the years has gotten much smaller. And that little calm part is really almost non-existent now.
It gets to be a little chaotic. Give people your background. How long have you been doing this? When did you start to go into the proxy business? And are you surprised at how big this has gotten?
So this is 13 years for us.
Wow.
I was a lawyer in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
I was a gambler. I played in the Hilton Super Contest.
Okay.
I had my own proxy, early 2000, 2010 range. I came out to gamble, and I put in my picks one day, and I said, you know what, maybe I could do this. You know, it's not rocket science. You got to be reliable, dependable, organized. And I said, oh, I'm all those things. And I stored it away. I went back to doing my lawyer stuff, and then, at some point in time in your life, you're like, I need a change. And I came out and I started with 6 clients, and here we are 13 years later.
When did it blow up to you? Because I think for me, Damon Graham, the barista at Starbucks who won the Westgate, and ESPN all of a sudden started writing all of these different stories about this Starbucks barista that won the Westgate Super Contest, beat all these quote-unquote professionals, and everybody went, well, wait, if he can do it, I can do it. And then the next year, a farmer won it.
So the farmer actually lost to the barista. That was the story.
Oh, okay. So the farmer lost to the barista. Okay. So then everyone thought, well, if a farmer and a barista can get in the money, why can't I? Is that when this thing really took off to you?
For the Westgate, yeah, without a doubt. It all of a sudden it started growing by 35% a year. The numbers just went up incredibly. I think at their height they had 3,500 entries, which now seems paltry,
Right.
but at the time it was unbelievable. The whole story about the barista is a little bittersweet for me since I had the farmer as my client.
Oh, no.
And he was in the lead with a 1.5 game lead going into the final week.
That's amazing. So I did a bunch of interviews with Damon. I did some content with him right afterwards. And I remember he had 2 entries in, and so he finished first and third, and your guy came in second with his entries. And I remember him just talking about the fact that it was so fun to do all year, and it was life-changing for him, obviously. Yeah. He won $1 million. Everything changed for him going forward. And then this at the time was the gold standard. and then Circa came on. And in the beginning, it was like, okay, there was going to be some level of competition. Well, there's no competition anymore. This thing has completely overwhelmed. And then they added Survivor, and that just added it even more. And it's just goodbye.
Westgate shot themselves in the foot. They started taking the 8% rake right after, and it blunted their growth. It only was 10% the next year because folks said, no, we don't want to pay 8%. And then COVID came along.
Right.
And, you know, Derek Stevens started, you know, over here at the Circa Millions, and his billboard said, no rake. So that got people. And
I said it was smart to do, right? I mean,
he's a brilliant person.
Yeah, it was a brilliant thing. He's a gambler himself, and I think he listened to the gamblers and said, okay, so you have a good finger on the pulse of the growth as to where we are. Are we pacing ahead? Are we behind? Where are we numbers-wise? Let's start with Survivor. Where are we numbers-wise?
About 25% ahead of where we were last year at this time. So we're projecting we're going to get around 20,000.
So I'm right. Okay, we're going to hit 20. All right. Rex Beyers thought 23.
I wouldn't be shocked if it hits it, because think about last year. 5,000 entries came in either the last 5 days or something like that, the last week. They hit their number of the guarantee, and then all of a sudden I came back on Saturday night, and it was 14,000. Went from 9 to 14 in basically 5 days.
So we think that's going to happen again.
I don't see why it wouldn't. Honestly, the way this off all over the country, the way they market.
Right. People come in.
People
right,
love it.
Right. Because in honesty, it makes a lot of sense, because why have your money tied up if you don't have to? Right.
And all the locals come in at the end. They live here. They don't have to do flights. They don't have to look for good deals. They hold their money. They come in.
And they jump in. All right. So then for Millions, they have not hit the guarantee for a while here. I think it's back-to-back years where there's been an overlay.
3 years.
3 straight years. Thank you. For there's been an overlay. We getting the fourth?
I believe so.
Wow.
But by a slim margin. Last year they missed by about 150 entries. They're tracking currently about 1% behind to where they were last year.
Okay.
So still pretty close. And if I think there's a little push at the end of people who got knocked out early in the Survivor said, you know what, I want to have entertainment for all 18 weeks. I don't want to go out on Survivor and have nothing to do. They're going to get a few million entries.
Unbelievable.
So I don't think we go over 6, but I think we get close.
Okay. So the reason why we're having you on is twofold. One, because you've done this for a long time, so you have a great depth of knowledge into these contests, but also because of what's going on with Dave. And so and some of you know this, obviously Dave is not here, and Dave is battling, and Dave has a lot of health concerns at the moment to deal with. So because of this, and I have my own, because I have to go have surgery in 2 weeks. So I have my own concerns. You have offered to do our Proxy picks entries for us and give Dave and Jessica all the money.
Yes.
Which is insane. So publicly, I'm saying that. Privately, I've said to you. Now publicly, I'm saying thank you for this offer, because in this business, it is somewhat cutthroat. And you have decided to step up and say, hey, guys, you are going through it. I mean, it's an unbelievable gesture.
Yeah. One, you're welcome. I'm happy to do it. You guys are great guys. 2, we are competitors, but we should be humans too. And we're a small community. And when someone needs help, someone else should step up to help.
Well, and you're doing that for us, and you're taking a gigantic worry off of our plate, because we want to keep going with the Proxy business, with the Proxy service. But this year, it's just not possible. It's just one of those situations where life gets in the way of what you want. And, you know, as a joke goes, you know, God laughs at you when we make plans. And so, like, kind of like, you know, we're getting laughed at pretty. The universe is saying to us, like, guys, no, we're just not doing this year. So for anybody who is going to come to town or thinking about coming to town, our customers are going to be using you of your entries. If folks are going like, okay, Tom, Matt and Dave did it this way, without giving away any secrets, how does it go? When's your deadline for the contests?
So our regular deadline is 2 p.m. Thursday if you're playing the Thursday game, or 11 a.m. Saturday.
Eastern time or Pacific time?
Always Pacific time.
Always Pacific time.
Always
okay,
Pacific
so 5 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. That's pretty late. That's good.
Yeah,
that's great.
We got 3 hours. Not generally, most people don't play Thursday.
Right. You shouldn't
10 or 15%.
Don't play Thursday.
Yeah, they don't want to lock themselves in early.
Right.
And our Saturday deadline is 11 a.m. Pacific time, so 2 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, so that's typical with us too. That was a similar time frame. They're going to enter in their picks onto a website.
Actually, so we emailed the lines out or the schedule out for the survivor, and with that email, there'll be a link to a Google form that you'll use to submit your picks back to us.
Perfect. Okay, so
Very simple form.
very simple form. You go and pick it back, and you send it back, and then the picks go in.
And then we email everybody to let you know your picks are in. And at that point, if they want to confirm it for themselves, a little extra peace of mind, they can log on to the Circa app, and they'll be able to see all their plays.
Awesome. If they're having any issues on game day or on Saturday, how do they call you, text you, email? What's the way they contact?
On game day, if it's not like immediate emergency, email us and we'll get back to you.
Okay.
If you accidentally clicked the wrong button and said, "Oh my God, I meant to pick the Bengals and I picked the Steelers,"
right?
Call me immediately, because if you catch me before I put it in the system, we'll change it for you. Or resubmit the form right away, and we'll take the one that's later in time.
Okay. If folks need to contact you, if they're going to coming into town, whether they be Brigade Proxy Service members or not, what's the website? How can they get in contact with you?
VegasFootballProxy.com is the website. They can call me 702-767-1634. Probably text. We'll get a text. It's such a busy time.
You thought on the screen, Eric. Can you go to VegasProxy.com? VegasFootballProxy.com. Sorry, and throw up on the screen so folks can see it, so they can be able to log on and use you guys. Scheduling from now until the 7th of September. I'm assuming you'll be very busy.
Very busy. But we take walk-ups too. We have a specific booth in the Circa.
Yeah.
It's in the back corner, right next to the down escalator. Whenever anyone calls me or texts me, I send it to them.
Yeah. So that's oops. What did I do? That's okay. That screwed things up. Sorry. I think I screwed things up on that. I put it on different ways. Sorry. My bad on that. On how I screwed that up on that. But what do you think in terms of the growth factor for this entire contest? Is it going to just keep growing? Are we not going to see a stop? Is there not a threshold?
No time soon.
No time soon?
Not because gambling has exploded all over the country. Right. And just more and more people are being introduced to it. So I don't really see anything stopping it unless there may be some folks who eventually say, you know what, it's too big. I'd rather have a small pool.
Right.
And at that point, maybe they'll go back to the Westgate. Who knows?
I mean, is that? I don't know. I mean, how many people?
I think that would be the minority.
Okay, because doesn't it feel like the football that there was going? I thought there'd be more interest in the college football contest than there has been.
For the first year, I don't think it's that bad of a turnout.
Okay.
Right now, they're currently around 600, and that's not counting today.
Okay.
We still have a little more than a week to go. I can see 1,200, and for a first-year turnout, take comparison the combination college pro contest at the Nugget.
Okay.
They only had 150 people.
Last year?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
For the last several years.
Oh,
that's
my.
what it's been.
150. All right. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're going to go to VegasFootballProxy.com to go and to make an appointment, sign up with you as they're coming to town. If you guys are a Brigade Proxy Service member and you've already signed up, you should be texting me, okay? And I'm going to get you in contact with Tom. If you need to go directly, just tell Tom, hey, I'm from BPS, Brigade Proxy Service. I have signed up with Matt and Dave. How do I go ahead and enter my picks? So it's essentially us just handing things off for this year to Tom, who, as I told you, has been so gracious to go ahead. You're going to still pay the $300 for the first entry and $100 for every additional entry, and that money is going to Dave and Jessica. So that's strictly from Tom. I've tried to have you take money, and you won't take money.
You're very nice like that.
I've been asking him to take money, and he won't take money. I'm saying, can I please have some cut for your time? And he's like, no. They need it, make it for them. So it's an incredible gesture. And we hope to be back next year doing it again. And yeah, I agree, Santana, is role model type stuff that you are doing. So from the Brigade, from the Sherapan, from myself, thank you for what you were doing. So if folks have questions or anything they need to, the best way to contact you is?
Call me, actually. Call me or text me. Text is probably best. 702-767-1634. And I'll actually send them the link for our booking calendar. So just text me, say, hey, I'm B&B guy. I'd like to come sign up. I'm going to text you the link to the form.
Okay.
Book the appointment. We're here every day, 8 to 6. And if you need it outside of time, I'll meet you later in the evening or earlier in the morning.
Okay. You are a complete gentleman. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Really, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Vegas, you guys in town, use Vegas Proxy. Use VegasFootballProxy.com. Go check them out. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate everything you've done. That's a tremendous. You pull it off. Yeah. That's obviously there. It is 702-767-1634. The phone number to contact Tom and his folks to do it. If you are a Brigade Proxy Service member, once again, thank you very much, Tom, for what you are doing. If you guys need it, the website VegasFootballProxy.com, where you guys can be up on the internet. We already put it on the screen. The phone number. Proxy Jesus, that's tremendous from Addison. And I agree, Jimmy Football. Amazing gesture and just a complete. These are the times when you kind of feel like humanity. There's good people in the world still. Like there's actually people that you're like, wow, okay, you're willing to do that because I've been trying to get Tom to take money. I'm like, hey man, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of years, it's a lot of customers that you're dealing with. And he's like, I don't care. He's like, it's all good. We'll step in. We'll do
super great gesture.
We'll do it for you guys. So once again, if you guys are a Brigade Proxy Service member, if you already have used us or you've already signed up with us, or things off, you're in great hands. You're in absolute tremendous hands for us to be able to do that, and we will be incredibly thankful for that. And then hopefully we're all back next year. Hopefully we're back and we're able to roll, and it's all good, and we can get cracking with it all and have it be back to quote unquote normal, if you know what I mean. So on that. All right. Any last thoughts before we wrap here?
I don't know, man. I think it's been awesome. It's been fun doing all these live shows. Obviously, this year a little down just because Dave's not here to join us, and we would have liked to have all the great insight that Dave might have, and I'm sure a lot of people here would have wanted to see him. But hey, I mean, leaving yesterday, how many people came up to us asking about Dave, asking about the show, and it's awesome to see that everybody's keeping tabs, and it's as much as it is a community where we are all we all have our shows, we all have an opinion, we all have this envelope that we want to push of sports talk. At the end of the day, it's a close-knit community, and people are always looking out for each other. So I think that's what I got from it yesterday. Hearing everybody talk about the players out to Dave and stuff. So Dave, we're thinking about you. We're rooting for you, and stay strong. Stay sharp and strong. These hats are going to be remembered forever because you stayed strong. So thanks for that, man.
Yeah. When you took my class, you think you'd be sitting here 3 years later?
Dude, when I took your class, shoot, man, I don't know, man. A lot of it was really just taking a chance on myself and believing in me. So and you and Dave believed in me, so I really appreciate it. But man, dude, it's been a hell of a journey, and I not even just like what you guys have done for me, but the community and this world that you guys have introduced me to. As much as I haven't been in the betting space for a couple year and a half
now, man.
I'm still in it.
You're
I'm still embedded in it. I know people that know people, and people know me because of this show, because of what I've done before. So, honestly, on top of all you guys teaching me stuff, it's honestly introducing me to this world that I've been so grateful to be able to be a part of for the past couple of years. So it's been a ride, man. It's been a hell of a ride, and I can't wait to continue doing this with you and Dave, and what kind of other opportunities, cool stuff that we might get signed up for.
It's coming.
We can do this anywhere.
Sure.
As always, I always tell people at the end of these live shows is, you see what we got going on. The setup is not crazy.
No.
Setup isn't crazy.
Easy.
Talk, good banter. So look out for BBB.
Yeah,
we can go anywhere, dude.
Next live show is probably going to be from Del Mar. Most likely us live in November from the Breeders' Cup. It's probably the next time we'll be live, but you never know. Or somebody may pop up and go ahead and want us to be. I think it's remarkable the work you have done, and I tease about no matter where you've been, but you've proven yourself beyond this show into what the work you do. People recognized it. And, the universe works funny ways, and this show wouldn't nearly look like this if it wasn't for you. You've made this show look amazing today and yesterday. You haven't watched yesterday, go back and watch it. You've kicked ass doing these things for us, and it's been super fun to do this again and just to show your talents and what you're capable of doing, and just the advancement you make for the show when you do it. And I know I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know where we were going when I called you. I was like, hey, so Dave can't do the show, so we have a little bit of an issue here. You come in and help, and you're like, yes, and you took vacation time to come here and do this. So I'm incredibly thankful for you for coming in here and helping the show up. The Brigade is going to be thankful for that. So just a really, don't sell yourself short, dude. Like you are extremely talented at what you do. I'm very lucky to have you and be able to do stuff with you. I can't wait to do more stuff with you coming up here future. In closing, just a huge thank you to Aaron Oster, to Derek Stevens, and everybody here at Circa for having us. This, again, was just an unbelievable 2 days. If you are coming to town and you need information about the Brigade Proxy Service through Vegas football contest or Vegas football proxy.com, we will take you. You guys can go ahead and text us like you always do. I'll end the show by putting up the phone here. Just go to thebvbshow.com. I think I deleted. Oh, there it is. 702-570-8255. You can text us. I will get you directly into Tom with Tom. If you want a handoff and you want, quote, like a handoff and not just a cold call Tom, I can go ahead and set it up for you guys to make sure you are taken care of. The number one priority for us is to make sure that you guys are satisfied and you feel like your picks are being put in by somebody competent. And then we fully intend on coming back next year with the Brigade Proxy Service and being right back here for Circa Sports again for another Ultimate Football Contest weekend, because this thing is just going to grow and grow and grow.
Have to make another ballroom.
Right. I mean, we've already filled up one. Well, you're right. Maybe two coming up in the future for what this thing looks like. So, in closing, thank you to Circa. Thank you to Eric. Thank you guys in the Brigade today. Thank you to Jeffrey Benson for stopping on by. That was fun. Rex Beyers for being in here. Keith Murphy stopped in for a quick second in Iowa. And then we talked to Vegas, to Proxy Tom as well here on the show. If you did not see you missed any part of it, go back on YouTube and watch the entire show. We are back on Monday. I'll be live in studio. Remember, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then off on Friday as I head back to New England for what will be a very wild trip for surgery that I will have to go and have. We will have shows on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the week after Labor Day. Tuesday and Wednesday. Monday we're off for Labor Day. Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday is the surgery. So we're off Thursday and Friday, and I hope to be back the following Monday from New Hampshire. So thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. We're back on Monday for another episode of the Bostonian versus the Book.